come and visit with us. Thank you so much. And of course for being members, we really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed a little time here, potentially some ice cream if you haven't gotten it. It's really good. And that Mother Butters, oh Jesus, that one on the, if you're into spicy, that one on the Chipotle one is so good. Okay, so, so in years past when we've done these open houses, we did like presentations, and then we were always running out of time for Q&A. So we decided this time around we would just do Q&A. So my name is Vanessa, and then I'll have these lovely folks, or wonderful folks, sorry Richard, introduce themselves, and then from there, I hope start getting those questions lined up, because that's what we're going to do.
My name is Lisa Labuz. I'm the Morning Edition local host here Monday through Friday. I love you. These people have been here today. All right.
True story. The rest of them were really mean.
Anyway, so I'm here Monday through Friday, and your turn.
I'm Richard Steele. I've been here it's really nice to see, because public radio people are so, we're so involved and so serious about issues, and to see you all eating the ice cream is like a bunch of 10-year-olds. That's great. This is Odette.
Hi, I'm Odette. I'm a reporter. I'm the Northside Bureau reporter, which puts me in an office on Devon Avenue near California. We have two other community bureaus, one on the west side and one on the south side, and then we have a Northwest Indiana bureau as well.
I should mention what I do. Actually, I do various. I get involved in various projects around the radio station, special reports and all of that. But I do a Thursday morning co-hosting thing with Tony Sarabia for the morning shift, Music Thursdays. Anybody? Yeah. So that's been going for over a year, and it's been very successful in terms of people liking what we do, little context with the music, celebrating musicians or holidays or whatever. The other thing I do is I do a talk show on Vocalo. Vocalo.org is our sister station, and I do a Friday talk show called The Barbershop. And we do it from a barbershop on the west side of Chicago live every Friday, and we have guests, and barbers are in there cutting hair and everything. It's a real barbershop. And that's one of the joys for me right now is being involved with that particular project. So that's what we do.
All right. Questions? Anything? Wisdom from some people.
We got to have questions. This was the biggest applause any of us.
Is the newsroom full every day? I mean, every desk, every chair taken, or
No.
a lot of people in and out? Or
A lot of interns, a lot of people coming and going. We've been shifting desks a lot. People keep moving. And also that the best newsroom is when everybody's out.
Right.
And, nobody would be here except at the very end of the day filing their stories. But so no, we have spaces available, but not many. I don't think. I sit way at the far end of the station. Nola and I sit, and there are a couple of spaces around there, but most of, if you walk out this main front door, most of everything around the middle is all taken, and then all the shows, like the afternoon shift and the morning shift, are kind of off to the east side of all this floor, and then if you go up, it's other membership is up there, but all the news, it's the city room, that's all taken, and then the shows branch out from there.
A little insight about the city room. I don't know how many of you have been on the other side and seen. They decided against having cubicles. Cubicles are on that second level where administration is and marketing and all of that. But on our floor, it's everything is accessible. Everybody can see everybody else and communicate. The idea was to make it like a regular city room at a newspaper, so that people could communicate with each other and exchange ideas and be close to each other, so that people who sit next to each other still email each other. But it provides a more open atmosphere for for news coverage, because we do a lot of joint projects that involves news and talk and specials and series and all of that. So it is really good that we're right there, around each other and close. So that's one of the reasons it's set up like that.
And how do you select your interns?
We have a person that does, he's director of, George.
George, we just call him George.
So we have some specifications. You can go online, actually, WBEZ.org/internships, or it might be ChicagoPublicMedia.org. It's got the internship. There's an application. There's a whole process. It depends on what kind of internship you want to go for. Obviously, if you're going to be my intern in marketing, the capabilities and skills I'm going to want you to have, and availability, you're going to be working events in late at night and enjoying yourself. But that's obviously a different situation than, say, being a news intern, especially in the morning. It's a much different kind of specifications. But or an audio engineer. Yeah.
Well, what's the difference? What are some of the differences between working for NPR versus working for a commercial radio station, do you guys think?
Well, I've never worked for NPR.
Okay,
We're just an NPR affiliate.
Right.
So, well, I was telling the last crowd that I mostly worked in public radio. I worked here for 13, 14 years. And then at other public radio stations on and off, but it was a more welcoming environment than a commercial radio environment for women, put it bluntly. I liked I liked the security at a public radio station. They never let go of anybody, right? But you would see so much turnover at a commercial station, and I was very nervous of that. So I wanted to find somewhere to stay.
I went through all of the turmoil of commercial radio for a long time. I spent over half my career in commercial radio. And, I think the major difference for me, and I've been here a long time too, it just shows you how long I've been in radio, but there's a commitment. I mean, the commitment in commercial radio obviously is to winning and getting numbers and revenue coming in, but the commitment here at this station has always been commitment to the quality of the product. And I mean, I'm not saying that just to throw that out. I mean, that's really serious. People here in completing projects, I've been here over 20 years, people have never really complained about things that had to be done. I mean, if you had to stay later to get a piece done or a project that you were working on, it was about the end result that was most important. And it was never like that in commercial radio. I worked for music stations. And I got to tell you, the music stations I worked for, I mean, they were good stations. They made a lot of money, and even I made a few dollars at that point. But I didn't, unless I was a program director, and I was that a couple of times, I didn't really listen like all the time. I listened to this station a lot. As somebody who works here, people get in my car and they're surprised and say, "Well, you actually have the station on." I said, "Yeah." But there are big differences in terms of people, personnel, how people feel about it. People in commercial radio dress a little better. But that's kind of basically what it is. It's a whole different animal.
Can I ask, what was your most challenging, or it's easier to say, most memorable story or program or episode? I'm going to ask each of you.
Let's start with me. I'm really bad at these questions.
9/11.
9/11.
It was a horrible, horrible day, and to be here, and while it was all going on, I would have gone home and listened to it all day anyway. I was happy to be here, and I kind of don't remember everything that happened that day. It was some of it's a blur. Where at one point somebody grabbed me, I don't even know who, and said, "Sit here," and they started handing me stuff to read on the air. And I don't even remember what I read, but it was fascinating and horrible and gripping, and I'm glad I was here for that.
For me, it was. I remember that during that incident, I actually went to Studs Turkle's house and did an interview with him. He was critical of some things about what this country had done, not endorsing the people who blew up the World Trade Center, but it was a very controversial piece. But we actually, producer and I went to his house to see what because he had some things to say, and I did the interview, so I'll always remember that. But probably my most memorable moments here in terms of news involvement, because I wasn't sort of news involved for 9/11, although I did contribute some, but mine was 9/11. I was working here, I'm not 9/11, the death of Harold Washington. I was working here then, and everybody got pressed into service, and we actually won some awards for that coverage, and I was very much involved in that coverage, and that was an amazing time to see all of us in different areas of the radio station get pressed into service and do a phenomenal job of reporting all the aspects of that tragedy.
Those are the best and most exciting days.
Yeah, when things
to
happen.
be here, when things are going on and breaking, and everybody is helping.
Yeah, I have I can rarely remember from one day to the next, like what I've covered. So, I mean, one that sort of sticks in my mind that I just remember because the tape was so surprising and kind of awesome was I was doing some coverage for a while in the western suburbs of some zoning issues that they were having with mosques that were trying to be built out there. And I decided to sort of go at it from a different angle where I was looking like, okay, are we only just paying attention to the mosques that run into zoning problems? Is this something that has happened to churches and temples and other religious institutions as well? And I interviewed this couple that lived on a property that was right next to another house that had been bought by some folks that wanted to turn it into a mosque, and there was controversy over that. And I remember I was like outside, they were sort of like walking me around the property and explaining like all the terrible things that were going to happen, like if it was going to turn into a mosque. And the tape was like rolling, and at some point they stopped like what they're saying. They're like, wait a minute, are you Muslim? And I was like, well, would it matter? And like, you know, and so that was just like, that was kind of, I kept that in the story because it just sort of like highlighted, you know, it highlighted a lot of things. But I don't know why that one came to memory, but like, that's one that I remember.
Another question? Sir?
I was just wondering for the different programs, which programs happen in the different studios? Like, what happens in here? I see there's a bunch of smaller ones there.
Music over there.
Yeah, right. This is where the morning shift and the afternoon shift and Worldview broadcast out of. So Tony Sarabia, Jerome McDonald, Nyla Labuz all sit right here. And then the engineers, there's Charles. And he will, he or whoever is engineering at the time, you know, they talk back and forth. And like the morning shift has a whole crew of people in there. Jason Mark, these might be names you might recognize. Jason Mark and Carrie Shepard. And some interns, they all sit in there and just make sure everything goes great. Joe DeSo's over there. I'm in a small studio, it's Studio 1, and it's just way over there, but it's a small little cube, and Melba and Odette sat there, and we've got Yolanda Perdomo, who's our newest midday host, Susie On, who was midday for a little while, Greta Johnson, and Miriam Sobe. And we all kind of share that one studio. That's the busiest studio, the smallest studio in this place, and it's the busiest one. It's the most used studio. So those two get the most use. This American Life studio used to be the farthest one down there, and they had like this fancy microphone, and very, very high class and swanky in there. And so. No, they are across the hall in Studio 11. Yeah, and we are all coveting their. You can stand at their console. I would like to stand, but I can't. I've got to reach all these buttons down here, and it would be great if I had the option to stand in the studio. Yes, that's where we broadcast.
The pledge drives are done, by the way, for the most part, in that room.
Behind you, with the sign.
Behind you. When you hear us asking for, you got to call now because
money.
we really have to make our pledge.
Giving away a bike.
It's right over there.
Yellow sunglasses.
Just
touching on the Miss American Life, them in that other studio.
They were great.
How often do you get to leave and kind of cross boundaries and work with different programs? And I mean, you guys seem to know a lot about how everyone else is working, but oftentimes I just hear, the morning shift, that sort of thing. So.
It had in the past been not a problem, but it was a challenge to, we had newscast people, and then we had the 8:48 or the morning shift people, and it was, sometimes our story ideas crossed paths, and there was a bit of tug and who's doing what, and things have been shifting, and now it's much more user friendly, and reporters, I don't know how it is, maybe this is easier for you to talk about, but it seems like it's a lot easier for the reporters to get their stories on whatever show, and the editors I think the editors decide what's going to be placed where. But it's a lot more friendly than it used to be. And not that we were angry with each other, I'm getting that story, you get that story, but it was harder, but it's a lot more, let's all do this together now. And it's always been some of that, but it seems it's a lot, the way they've set it up now, it makes it easier for everybody to work together rather than separate shows.